Hello students, welcome you all on YourPedia Education. So my dear students, as you know, YourPedia already started the series the top 10 at 10 p.m. Fine my dear students, already we upload the lectures related to the artificial intelligence, data structure algorithm, then probability, then Python, and now we are going to discuss the 10 important questions related to statistics part. See my dear students, for GATE data science and AI paper, we are trying to cover almost 250 questions, and if you want to access the questions as well as the solutions, then what you have to do is you have to just fill the Google form which is right there in the description box in the link of the video, and you can then download all the questions with their solutions that you can access in the PDF form. Fine my dear students. Now today we are going to discuss some 10 problems of statistics. See my dear students, in the statistics you may face, as you know, the first chapter or the first subject of data science and AI syllabus is probability and statistics. I think you may face at least 8 to 10 marks problem from that subject. Now these subjects divide into two parts. One is the probability part and one is statistics part. See my dear students, if I go with the weightage of prob and stats, I think 3 to 4 questions you can find out for the statistics part. Now in the statistics we have mainly two type of problems related to the properties or theoretical in nature and some numerical type of problems. So we are trying to cover each type of problems in this video. Now mainly in the first video of statistics I am trying to cover the basics of statistics like mean, median, mode, correlation, then effectiveness of correlation, then some different type of theorems. Based on that I am just trying to cover the questions. See my dear students, let's start with the first problem. What is the median of a given list of element? We have list of element, even though here the list of elements are sorted in nature, but in the exam you may not find the sorted nature. So find out the median. What you have to do is you have to just sort them and just take the middle element. Now my dear students, as you know, if number of elements are odd, then the middle element is the median. But in the case of number of elements are even, that is 10, 10, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 60, 65, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Here the number of elements are even. So what you have to do is, in the case of even, we have two middle element, and here the middle element is 30 and 40. How? What you have to do is you just cross first last, then first and then last, then first and then last, then first and then last. So these two elements are the two middle element. Now what you have to do is 30 plus 40 divided by 2, which is going to be 70 divided by 2, which is going to be 35. So 35 is the median of your this list. Fine my dear students. So right answer is A is your right answer. Now my dear students, second point, very important point. Now for the data analysis or data science, this part is very important. Number of statement is or are correct. So my dear student, the first part is if data set have a few extremely large values, this word is very important, then median is preferred measure of central location over mean, right? Why? Because mean is influenced by extremely small as well as large data set. See my dear students, suppose that we have data set 2, 4 and 6. Fine. If you want to find out the mean, then 2 plus 4 plus 6 divided by 3, which is 12 divided by 3, which is 4. But out of 2, 4 and 6, suppose one element is too large, that is 600. Then the mean is now not 4, it is extremely influenced by these values. Fine my dear student, that's why in that such case, to find out the central location of the data set, we are going for median over the mean. So only 1 and 2 both statement are correct, that's why both A and B. Next again we have to find out the 50th percentile, that is very important. And now tell me how to find out the 50th percentile. So my dear student, what do you mean by percentile? If I say 80th percentile, it means whatever the location we are finding out, total number of elements are 80% or less than that. Fine, that is the main point of percentile. So how to find out the percentile? To find out the percentile, we know that we have some standard formula, that is p by 100 n plus 1 to find out the location of the 50th percentile. Now p is 50, 50 by 100, n is total number of element 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10. So 10 plus 1, which is going to be, if it is 80th percentile, you have to write 80 by 100. So 50 by 100, 1 by 2, and that is 10 plus 1 is 11. So we are going to find out 5 by 5. Now it means what? At the fifth, go to the fifth position. 1 2 3 4 5, fifth position is 50. Keep in mind this point, 50 plus. Now 0.5 or half of next two values, on half of the next half of the two values from the 50 and 60. So 0.5 of 60 minus 50. What you have to do is, whatever the point we get after the decimal point, then take the two values, subtract second first from the second, and take that proportions. So 50 plus 0.5 is 1 by 2, 60 minus 50 is 10. So 50 plus 5, which is going to be 55. Fine. So 55 is the 50th percentile of given data. 50, keep in mind, 50 is not the 50th percentile, but 55 is the 50th percentile. Keep in mind, my dear students, that is very important. First of all, you have to find out the location. After location, if 5.0 is there, then 50 is the 50th percentile. If not, then what we have to do is, we have to take the next value minus that value, divide of you have to subtract that value and get only that part of proportions. Fine, my dear students. So your answer is 55. Fine. Now consider the following data set, and we have to find out the third quartile. So my dear students, we know that the third quartile means we have three quartile. First quartile is the 25th percentile. Second quartile is 50th percentile, and the third quartile is 75th of the percentile. Now we have to find out third quartile means 75th of the percentile. Now if I go with the 75th of the percentile, how? Again you have to find out 75th by 100 n plus 1. What is n? N is 10, 10 plus 1. Now see here, again it is 3 by 4, 10 is 11, 33 by 4, which is going to be 80, which is going to be, I think, 33 by 4, (8.2). Fine. And 220, 8.25. Fine, my dear students. Now go to the eighth location, 8.25, not 80.25, it's 8.25. Fine. Eighth, go to the eighth location, 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8, 80. Fine. So 80 plus, now 0.25, 0.25 of 90 minus 80, that is 80 plus 0.25 or 1/4 of 90 minus 80 is 10. So 80 plus 10 by 4, 80 plus 2.5, which is going to be like 82.5. So 82.5 is the right answer. Fine. Next, number of the statement is or are correct. Very important point, even though that is simple question, but still very important point. Now tell me which of the following statement are correct. Which of the following statement are correct? Now my dear students, see here the important point you have to keep in mind. variance always lies between 0 and 1. That is wrong. Variance tells me how much the values are deviate from the mean. Variance lies between, that is right. Standard deviation is measured in the same unit. Very important point. That's why we are only finding out the standard deviation square root of variance, and variance is always measured in the same unit. No, it is square of that unit. Fine. That's why we are square root performing the square root while finding the standard deviations. So B and C are correct, A and D is not. Number of statement again and is correct. For a symmetric distribution, the mean and the median are equal. Yes, my dear students, for a symmetric distribution, mean and median are equal. Correct. When the data are positively skewed, the mean will usually be greater than median. Yes, again this is true. If the data set is positively skewed, then the mean will always be greater than the median. That is very important point. That is very important point. And the reverse point in the case of negative skew, when the data are negative skewed, then the mean is usually be less than the median. Keep in mind this relation, my dear students. Keep in mind this relations. Fine. So here the number of statements, all three statements are correct. All three statements are correct. Fine. Now again question related to G score. The number of statement is are correct. The G score of a value can be interpreted, okay, as the number of standard deviations that value is from the mean. That is right point. Suppose that we have a value xi, and xi, the G score of xi is 2. It means this value is 2 standard deviations. Suppose this is my mean, this value is 1 and 2 standard deviation far from the mean. That is the point. And so a point is correct. That's the main purpose of finding the G score. A G score of 0, it means G score is mean 0 standard deviation. It means in that case that value is equivalent to mean. A G score of 0 indicate that the value of that observation is equal to the mean. That is again the right point. So both statements are true. So G score, what is the main purpose of G score? Finding out that particular value is how much far from, or how much standard deviation far from the mean. That is the main purpose of finding the G score. Now my dear students, we have two standard theorems. One is Chebyshev and the next one is empirical rule. Fine. See my dear students, what it says, which of the following statement, and keep in mind this point, and many numerical problems are totally based on this theorems also. Which of the following statement is and are correct related to Chebyshev theorems? At least 75% of the data values must be within 2 standard deviation of the mean. That is right. At least 89% of the data values, at least, keep in mind here the word is at least, keep in mind. So at least 89% of the data value must be within the 3 standard deviation of the mean, and at least 94% of the data value must be within 4 standard deviation of the means. All 3 statements are true, but here one thing you have to keep in mind, this theorem is not says about any of the distribution. Fine. That's why we have the next problem, that is empirical rule, and which totally based upon if my data set has a bell-shaped curve. Bell-shaped curve. In that case, now approximately 68% of the data value is within the 1 standard deviation. That is the correct statement of the mean, and approximately 95% of data value will be within 2 standard deviation, and almost all of the data values are within the 3 standard deviation. That's why we are finding out the constant confidence interval, and these values we are just considering out as the outliers. Fine my dear students, based on the empirical formula. So all the 3 statements are true. So keep in mind these 2 rules, because these 2 rules are very important. Keep in mind. Next, now the question is related to, suppose that the midterm test score of 100 students in a college business statistics course has a mean. Mean is given and a standard deviation is given. How many students have the test score between 60 and 80? We have to apply here. Chebyshev theorem as some here the part is not given, but in the question that is given to you, that you have to follow the Chebyshev rules and or theorems. So it says that given is standard deviation, mean is 70. Okay, if mean is 70, suppose that is my mean and that is 70, and standard deviation is 5. Fine. So we have to find out the value between 60 and 80. So this is 65 and this is 60. This is 75, this is 80. Now tell me, if I talk about this area and if I talk about this area, this is 2 standard deviation below and 2 standard deviation above. Fine, my dear students, that is the most important point. So we know that 2 standard deviation in the Chebyshev theorems. So how many, if we have two standard deviations, if the values are 2 standard deviation below and above, then the rule says, see the previous questions, 2 standard deviation means 75% of the data value must lie between the score of 60 and 80 if mean is 70 and standard deviation is 5. That's why these two theorems are very important. Keep in mind, my dear students. Fine. So these are the 10 important questions. You may face these type of problems directly in your exams. So you have to keep in mind the empirical rules, Chebyshev rules, then property related to the skewness or the distributions, mean, median, mode, what should be the relations, and you have to know how to find out the G score of a particular value, what is the formula, that is x minus x bar divided by s whole square divided by s, that is the main formula, and then you have to go with the correlations, what do you mean by coefficient and correlations of coefficient of correlations and all these terms. Fine, my dear students. So if you want to access all these questions with their solutions, what you have to do is you have to just fill the Google form. Thank you.